All right, Mr. Brian and Mr. George here. We're doing our youth and teen grappling requirements. We're going to be going over our intermediate techniques. So that's our green belts and above, right? So that's green, blue, purple, and then also our red and brown belts. So we saw the single leg with the knee press finish. Sometimes you might like leaving the leg inside, or you might not be able to get it out, okay? That is when we start doing something we call run the pipe. And this is a very successful single leg takedown, okay? So I'm squared up with Mr. George, and whatever leg he has forward, that's which one I want to attack, okay? If he doesn't have stand square, Mr. George, so this is for our higher ranks here, I might just try and circle if he had his legs square. If he steps back, I'll circle the other way, okay? But let's remember a mistake people make for our intermediates. We're not testing on this, but it's a reminder. Okay, Mr. George does have a leg forward, say, and he reaches with his front hand. You're not supposed to do that for the reason I'm about to show you. So if anybody does this when you're rolling, reach for my head, Mr. George, with this hand. Yeah, he knows that this is the right hand, and he's like, why would I do this? But I'm going to tell you that people make this mistake because they don't realize. Watch this. You just stand however you would. We're wrestling, Mr. George, right? See how I was able to pull him forward and attack. Right? Okay, he was able to essentially break his base and pull into my guard. He's standing the same way. Same thing, so much stronger. That's why we reach with this hand. It's safer. You have a better balance that people can't pull you down into their guard. Okay? So when he reaches with the wrong hand, we just buff it up. Here, we come in, we stand up, we leave the leg inside, and just like we were doing on the knee press, we're going to step inside, and we're going to push him down with our ear. So our head's on the inside, and it pushes his body this way. I feed his leg in between mine. Then I grab it, and we do the leg drag. Now, we talked about when we do this in the other technique here, we kind of pull his leg that way. I come down, he recovers his guard, and you're ready to play. Okay? So again, he reaches with the wrong hand. You just bump it up. Real natural. Come in, make him off balance so you can pick his leg up. Step inside, leg drag. Once you're here, drop in like that. He recovers his guard. One more take. He grabs with the wrong hand. Up, step in. Recovers. Okay, so you saw each time Mr. George and I was explaining, it was kind of broken up, but we got smoother and smoother, and we did it that time with no stops. All right, so that's what we're trying to see by testing time with our takedowns and our guard recoveries. All right? All right, intermediates, we're going over our escapes. Okay, so we're going to go for our number one escape, our bridge and roll. Okay, so I've got his arm trapped. Maybe he's had his hand on the mat, and I've got his arm trapped. I've got his foot. And I roll this way, but he posts this with his free hand because I probably went too sideways. But look, his knee's light, like when we do the hip escape, so we can build our frame and start pulling our guard through. As he presses back on top of me, look, I need to pull this foot out. I'm already on my side. And then I'm going to do our sit-up sweep, okay? Remember, I'm always going to get a better sweep if I'm on my palm. If I'm on my elbow, what I'll need to do is really suck his arm in. Okay, so for our higher ranks, we call this a Kimura sweep. But the sit-up sweep is on the palm, and that's the detail that we always coach on the most. On the palm to help you raise your hips, step over. Okay, now, Mr. George, he traps my arm as I was coming up, right? He tries to roll, goes a little too sideways, I post. But my knee's light. He's getting his guard back recovered. Nice. He's got his guard open. He sit-up sweeps from his palm. So that's our flow drill. Now the other escape technique is what we call our knee elbow escape. Okay? So this leg is the one I'm going to escape. I need this leg straight that's on that side. Okay? Now I can't turn all the way on my side. Mr. George might take my back or something crazy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn just a little bit on my side with that straight leg, okay? My hips are in a frame. Then I step over and I pull his foot in between, okay? Now, I'm gonna bring my knee to my elbow, frame on his shoulder, so I'm in a half guard for a second, all right? And then I'm getting my guard back. I can do any of my guard attacks, like guillotines, Kimuras, sit-up sweeps, are all really good from right here, okay? So let's look at that knee elbow escape one more time. All right, so I wanna get on my side a little bit, frame, pull that in, switch my frame to here. Now just keep turning on my hips, okay? So that is our knee elbow guard recovery, all right? Now next we'll go over our submission attacks. Okay, so we saw for our beginners, and our intermediates have to know this too, and advanced students, that if somebody goes in right here, they go for their full mount armbar. Okay, so now we're really gonna get into the defense. Okay, so we want intermediates and above to know the defense. And the defense, it needs to be what we would call reactive. George needs to react when I'm going to armbar him. You guys, you know when you're getting armbarred. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm pulling him up on his side, right? Or maybe I noticed he's on his side and I came here. And I go over here. Now what Mr. George is doing is he's already grabbed his bicep. He's already put his hand here in front of the face. So that way, when I go over here, he catches my leg. Now, what he does is he scoops this off of his head. And I always say 2 big scoots. Do a big scoot, and then there I'll be trying to get my leg back, so he does another big scoot. Then he just needle threads right into my guard. Okay, so we can go into some of our favorite passing techniques from that position, okay? So, here, Mr. George's like, oh, I'm getting armbarred. I need to get my hand in front of my face. And then the one that I would be armbarring, if that one was out, here, okay, that one's grabbing his bicep. So he's here, I fall down like this. I don't have anything. And while I'm trying to pry, he scoots it off of his head and he does 2 big scoots. And he comes into my guard. All right, and I really like this happens naturally, how Mr. George has got the 2-on-1. That way, like, I can't really do anything with this hand. He's out of reach. All right, so I got to start trying to free what he's doing here, and he's passing my guard in the meantime. All right, so that is a really cool drill, the bicep armbar defense. Okay, now, so we want intermediates above to know both sides, the full mount armbar and then the bicep defense, be able to do both. Then what we want to look at next is the Americana from the mount position. That is our last intermediate submission. Okay, so we want to make them think that maybe we're doing a bad armbar. Remember how the armbar was in like this? Well, the Americana, we're going to reach and we're going to grab and we're going to pull. Like an armbar, right? We reach in, we grab, we pull. So let's say, you know, oh, I reached and I grabbed the wrong thing. I'm going to pull his hand to my hip like this, and he's almost always, because it's not his idea, is going to pull that back. When that happens, I go in with my elbow. Okay? So I reach in, I pull, he retracts, fold in. That's that little motorcycle grip hand we were talking about, like you're turning a throttle. All right? So pull, he pulls it back, go in here. Now, what I've got to do is I want to get my grip here. Okay, but I can get rolled over pretty easily if I don't do some things correctly. All right, now I've got my elbows on the mat to kind of talk about the technique. All right, but if your elbows are on the mat, you're probably not going to get the tap and they can escape. All right, then another thing here is I want to flare my knee up a little bit on one side as I go in. Those details address not getting bridged and rolled. Okay, then also, when I push his knee up a little bit on this side, it gives me room to turn his arm. Okay, so I reach in, I pull, he retracts, I'll come in here, and the last detail is as I go for the finish, I want to kind of hide my eyes in case it was self-defense and I was getting scratched in the face. Okay, so here, he pulls down, I get my hands together. right away, okay? Now I'm gonna come up. All right, now, again, I can't be like leaning too far over this way and just roll me over, okay? I can't have my leg up too much or he'll get his knee through. Okay, so we gotta think about that stuff, and you're higher ranked, so we wanna see you having a good base, okay? You gotta kind of react, don't go too far any direction. Put that knee up a little bit, come in, right there, okay? Bonus if you put, on like our testing form as a bonus, if you put your head behind the arm, I'll give you bonus points on the testing form, okay? Because again, here's the thing, you know, not all of you are gonna compete in jiu-jitsu that are in this MMA program, and you might have to use this, like you might get attacked one day at school, and somebody is scratching you in the face, right? If you know where to put your head, you won't get scratched in the face, all right? So that applies to all positions. So I reach in, I pull, he comes back down, I get my super grip, okay? See there, I didn't hide my eyes, and that's fine. That's what everybody is probably gonna do. If I hide my eyes too, it kind of use my head to help with the lock. That's our Americana for our intermediates and advanced.